Let's be real, Lorenzo's Oil is one of the most intense, gut-wrenching movies I've ever seen. It's not just a medical drama, it's a war film disguised as a family tragedy. George Miller, best known for Mad Max, brings that same kinetic energy here, but instead of cars exploding, it's the human spirit. The film grabs you by the throat from the first seizure and never lets go. It dares to ask, what would you do if the entire medical establishment said, impossible? It's a rallying cry for every parent who's ever been told there's no hope.
Indeed, Jason. But what strikes me is the philosophical weight beneath that intensity. This isn't just a story about fighting for a cure. It's about the nature of knowledge itself. The O'Dones, Augusto, and Michaela embody a radical epistemology. They trust their love and their research over the authority of doctors who hide behind jargon. The film asks a profound question. When institutions fail, who has the right to knowledge? And it answers with a hammer: the parents. Miller films this like a detective story, with each medical paper as a clue. But the real mystery is how far we'll go for those we love.
Exactly, and the visual language is insane. Look at how Miller uses color, the sterile whites of hospitals versus the warm golden tones of the O'Done home. It's a visual battle between institutional coldness and human warmth. The close-ups during the seizures are almost unbearable. They're not just showing symptoms, they're showing the raw physical cost of a broken system. And the moment when Augusta reads the medical paper by the oil lamp, that's pure noir. He's a detective in a mystery where the victim is his own son. It's genius filmmaking.
And let's not forget the sound design. The score by Trevor Jones is minimal, but piercing. A few mournful cello notes that seem to echo the isolation of the O'Dones. The silence is even more powerful. In the scene where Lorenzo's condition worsens, Miller cuts between the parents' silent tears and the hum of medical machines. It's a symphony of helplessness. But what I find fascinating is how Miller avoids melodrama. He never asks us to pity the O'Dones. He asks us to witness their transformation. They're not saints. They're flawed, stubborn, and sometimes angry. That's what makes them real.
Right, Nick Nolte is a force of nature. He plays Augusto as a man constantly on the verge of exploding. Pacing, gesticulating, his voice cracking. Susan Sarandon is the quiet storm, her eyes holding back oceans of grief. Their dynamic is the film's heartbeat. But here's the controversial bit. The film has been criticized for oversimplifying the science and for Kayla's anti-doctor rants. I say that's missing the point. This is not a documentary, it's a mythological retelling. The O'Dones' fury is the engine of the plot. Without their righteous anger, there's no story.
You raise a fair point about the criticism, but I'd argue that the film's power lies in its willingness to be biased. Miller doesn't pretend to be objective. He chooses the parents' side wholeheartedly. That's a bold directorial choice, because it risks alienating viewers who want a balanced take. Yet by doing so, he taps into a universal feeling, the rage of being powerless. The scene where Augusto confronts the medical board is not just a rant, it's a manifesto against intellectual arrogance. The film becomes a fable about the hubris of institutions and the wisdom of love. And that's why it endures.
The emotional climax for me is when the oil works, but it's not a triumphant explosion of joy. It's a quiet, trembling relief. Lorenzo's hand moves, and Michaela's face, that's a moment of pure cinema. It's earned because we've been through the ringer with them. That single movement says more than any speech, and the final shot of the real Lorenzo chills. It reminds us that this isn't fiction. This really happened. The film becomes a time capsule of a family's fight, and it's almost unbearable in its beauty.
And let's reflect on the legacy. Lorenzo's Oil is often reduced to a disease of the week movie, but that's a shallow reading. It's a film about the nature of heroism. The O'Dones aren't caped crusaders. They are stubborn, obsessive, and sometimes myopic. They alienate friends. They ignore other sick children. They sacrifice everything. That's uncomfortable because we want heroes to be pure. But Miller shows us that real heroism is messy. It's about making impossible choices and living with the consequences. That's why the film remains relevant. It refuses to give us easy answers.
Wow, Marcus, you always bring the depth. I think we can both agree, Lorenzo's Oil is a masterpiece that deserves way more respect. If you haven't seen it, stop what you're doing and watch it. And if you have, watch it again with fresh eyes. Drop a comment. What would you sacrifice for your child? Let's get a conversation going. And don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the movies that changed the game. I'm Jason, and I'll see you in the next video.
And I'm Marcus. I'd only add this. As you watch, pay attention not just to the struggle, but to the silence. Miller's camera lingers on the spaces between words, those moments when hope seems to drain away. That's where the film's true power lies. In a world of constant noise, Lorenzo's Oil dares to listen to the quiet. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, stay curious and remember that sometimes the most profound truths are whispered, not shouted.